dear students, welcome to Drona Edu. This is Pavitra. And in today's class, I am going to discuss Class 9 Social Science and Political Science third chapter, that is State Government. And the greater powers are vested in the hands of members of Legislative Assembly. Why? Because they are directly elected by the people, and hence whatever the financial matters of the state are being discussed by Legislative Assembly members. So now let us understand the administrative powers of Karnataka Legislative Council. Okay, so in administrative power also, here the Legislative Council does not have much power on the administration. Okay, so compared to Legislative Assembly, Legislative Council is not having more power on administration, but they can also gather some information, or they can also impose some questions on the ministers. Okay children, so if at all needed, they can obtain the information by asking questions to the ministers. So if at all the questions are not been answered properly by the ministers, then the ministers can say that they don't have faith in the government, but they don't have any power to pass no confidence motion. Only Vidhana Sabha or the Legislative Assembly has the power to pass no confidence motion, whereas MLCs, that is Legislative Council, can only say that they don't have any faith in the present government or ministers, but they cannot pass no confidence motion. Okay, so children, now let us understand the discretionary powers of Legislative Council. So in this discretionary powers, the Legislative Council can carry on some debates. Okay, so what is a debate? Where they can argue regarding some matters in the particular house. For that we are calling as debate. Okay, so in debate, one supports the negative and one supports the positiveness of particular matter. And the Legislative Council carries on various debates about the government's programs, the policies of the government, and the decisions and the acts which have been introduced by the government. So as the Legislative Council is called as the House of Elders, the debates are carried on in a very serious matter. Okay, so these are the discretionary powers of the Legislative Council. Okay, discretionary is nothing but other important powers. They need not to wait for anyone's approval. For that we will be calling as the discretionary powers. So in discretionary powers, the Legislative Council can carry on some serious debates on the various policies and programs which have been introduced by the government, the decisions of the government, and the acts which have been framed for the welfare of the people. So these are some of the matters where the members of Legislative Council are discussing in a very serious manner. And you should always remember that the members of Legislative Council or the Legislative Council is also called as the House of Elders, and hence the debates are carried on very seriously. So children, in this class I explained you about state legislature and the two houses of state legislature, that is Vidhana Sabha in Karnataka, which is also called as the lower house, and Vidhana Parishad, which is called as the upper house of a state legislature. So Vidhana Sabha is also called as Legislative Assembly, and Vidhana Parishad is called as Legislative Council. So we also understood what are the powers and functions of these two houses. So children, in my previous session I have explained you about the two houses of state legislature, that is Vidhana Sabha and Vidhana Parishad. We can also call as State Legislative Council and State Legislative Assembly. So children, in this class let us understand about state executive. So as I said you, executive has the power to implement the laws or bring the laws into force. Okay, and who are the persons who are in state executive? That is the governor, the chief minister and his council of minister form the state executive. Okay, the governor, the chief minister and his council of ministers, which is also called as the cabinet, forms the state executive and they have the power to implement the laws. The governor is the constitutional head of the state. Okay, so the governor is the constitutional head of the state and the chief minister and his council of ministers form the real executive. That means whatever the policies or programs which are to be introduced in our state, the governor always asks the consent of chief minister and his council of ministers, and hence the chief minister and his council of minister has more power and hence they form the real executive. Okay, so here the governor, whatever he wants to take the decisions or appoint any ministers, he always consents the prime minister, and when they are discussing only, the governor always takes the decisions. By that we can understand in the state chief minister has more power compared to the governor. So here the president nominates the governor on the recommendation of the prime minister. So how is a governor selected? So governor is selected on the recommendation of the prime minister and his cabinet. Okay, recommendation of his prime minister and his cabinet itself, the president is nominating the governor, and apart from that every state is required to have a governor. All the states in India has a governor and a chief minister. So by that it's understood all the states of India should have a governor, and in some cases for 2 to 3 states one governor will be there. So he is in charge for 2 to 3 states. Okay children, and the states can also have a single governor. As I said you, in some cases 2 to 3 states has single governor. Okay, so now let us understand what are the qualifications required to become a governor of particular state. Okay, so first is he should be a citizen of India. Okay, the governor, if he wants to become a governor, the first point is he should be a citizen of India. The second point is he should not be less than 35 years of age. So if one has crossed 35 years of age, then he is qualified to become a governor of a particular state. Apart from that, he should not be working in any office of profit under the government. Yes, he should not be working of any office which is coming under the profit under government. So if you have any doubts regarding this children, you can put your doubts in the question box and soon I will answer those questions. So thank you children and have a good day.